Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today's the 19th of September 2022 and the cryptocurrency market is not looking good at all. The global cryptocurrency market is well below the $950 billion mark. Now this is primarily because of the CPI numbers and the Ethereum merge date. Now both of the news definitely did not help so far as the price of cryptocurrency is concerned. Now historically guys, if you've been in the cryptocurrency world, buy the rumor, sell the news does seem to be working right 100% of the time. Ever since Ethereum merge did actually take place, the price of all cryptocurrencies, particularly Ethereum, has gone down quite a lot. And this week, there's going to be a massive impact on the price of cryptocurrencies, especially on the 21st of this month. Now, the FOMC meeting does actually take place on the 20th and the 21st. Now, what is the FOMC meeting? They discuss the inflation numbers and Federal Chair Jerome Powell will actually decide the next interest rate. So this is going to have a massive impact on the price of cryptocurrencies and the stock market as well. So what are your thoughts guys? How much do you think Jerome Powell will increase the interest rates? Now you need to remember the goal is to reduce the inflation to less than 2%. Now most likely that just might not happen even by the year end 2024. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing some really interesting metrics regarding Ethereum and Bitcoin. Some of them are positive, some of them are not so much. So I'm just going to be sharing the matrix and you can decide whatever you want to think of it. And we'll also decide if El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender was a right move. And there is an article that has been published that talks about how its debt rating has gone down. So El Salvador is definitely in some deep trouble. Regarding price predictions, Goldman Sachs has made a bold price prediction that the price of Bitcoin will crash to $12,000. And remember guys, when you're talking about price predictions, all the Bitcoin price predictions, as a matter of fact, all the cryptocurrency price predictions are 100% right 50% of the time. But we strongly feel that as midterm election kicks in, it might just have an impact on the price of cryptocurrencies. Now regarding UAE, I have two news. And surprisingly, both the news has got to do with Metaverse. So it looks like Metaverse is definitely gaining a lot of mainstream adoption, especially in Dubai. The first news is a massive news, and this is by Animoca Brands. They are an absolute giant in the Metaverse industry, especially in the cryptocurrency industry as well. And they have released a news that they want to launch Metaverse in Dubai. Now listen guys, if you're working on Metaverse industry, are planning to build something in the Metaverse, you definitely need to check this out. And the second news is about Nostraverse. And what they want to do is they want to launch a UAE subsidiary and they plan to hire over 100 employees for its ambitious Metaverse projects. So I'm going to be explaining that in today's news. But one thing regarding Metaverse, I must say, when you're searching for information guys, make sure you look at information from the first source. Just because you're reading articles, even by mainstream media, it does not necessarily mean that news is incorrect. And most likely in today's episode, I'll try to share some example without giving names of the companies in Dubai and UAE that are actually providing quite a lot of misleading information, particularly to do with partnerships and quite a lot more. So let's kickstart today's episode. So welcome everyone, it's 18 you're in Dubai, you're listening to Crypto and Coffee a Date, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes under Crypto and Coffee a Date works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East from the cryptocurrency world. And this is followed by Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And every Fridays guys, I have an episode called Metaverse Everything where we solely focus on Metaverse, so please check out those episodes as well. The format for Metaverse Everything podcast is completely different, and I do tend to publish a daily and weekly report via my LinkedIn profile. So please follow me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is in the show notes below. You can also go to my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com, and search for the blogs under the crypto blog section. Now before we kickstart today's episode, listen to some of the messages who wants to help Blockchain DXB podcast. So here it goes. Firstly guys, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called Rise in the Obstacle Course Race, and Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs, and these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen, guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. Next, Vertex Events have organized the first ever blockchain summit in the history of the World Expo on 10th to 11th of October 2021 at Dubai Expo 2022. Now they are planning to organize a 2-day blockchain summit in 2022 on the 14th and 15th of October at Grand Hyatt Dubai UAE. And Blockchain Dubai Summit is one of the most innovative and interactive summits in the Middle East. Industry leaders from the world of blockchain, digital assets will gather to discuss advantages of blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFT, and Metaverse, a brilliant event to network with leading personalities in the space. There are a couple of packages and opportunities for sponsorship, so click on the link below to know everything about Vertex Events, and the website is vertexgroups.ae, or also drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And finally, guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, since we have looked at all the information, let's kickstart today's episode. Today is the 19th of September, and the global crypto market is down to $946 billion. Now, this is partly to do because of the CPI numbers, the Ethereum merge, and also because it is a weekend. But that being said, the numbers are ridiculously low. Since the last 24 hours, it is down to 2.84%, and the total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is $55.51 billion, and this is a ridiculously low number. Now, since the last 24 hours, it is down to 9.45%. But guys, the scariest metric for today is the volume in DeFi. The total volume in DeFi is down to $3.99 billion. Now, this is a really scary number. And once again, what I've been saying since the past 6 months is the volume on DeFi used to hover around $16 to $17 billion. That is the 24-hour trading volume. But since 2022, the volume of DeFi has been in single digits. But this just might be the lowest volume I have ever seen. It is down to $3.99 billion. I'm talking about the 24-hour trading volume. The total value locked is $54.11 billion. And MakerDAO accounts for 13.65% of all the total value locked. And guys, earlier in the month of January, the total value locked did reach a new all-time high of $250 billion. So from $250 odd billion, the total value locked is down to only $54.11 billion. So really, I'm not sure what is going on in the year 2022. And MakerDAO's percentage accounts for 13.65% of all the total value locked. Now, MakerDAO is considered as a boomer DAO among the OGs in the DAO sector, and as of now, $7.39 billion has been locked in MakerDAO. That being said, DeFi accounts for 7.19% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. The other scary matrix for today is the volume of stablecoins. Stablecoin volume is down to $51.24 billion. And out of this $51.24 billion, Tether USDT accounts for $40.39 billion, whereas USDC's volume has gone down to $3.6 billion, and Binance USD's volume is $6.7 billion. Now, the reason why I think these numbers are scary is when the volume of stablecoin goes down, when the global cryptocurrency market goes down, this is definitely not ideal. It makes perfect use case for central banks all over the world to pitch central bank digital currencies. It would have been okay if the global cryptocurrency market has gone down, but if the volume of stablecoins was hovering around the $170 to $200 billion mark, but this time the global crypto market has gone down, the volume has gone down, and stablecoin accounts for 92.31% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. And look guys, with central bank digital currencies making an entry next year, and there are also talks about central bank digital currencies making the code open source. One of the banks in Norway is currently working on making the codes open source. If central bank digital currencies do implement zero knowledge proof, I really don't think so. There's absolutely any use case for stable coins. So it's going to be really interesting to see how central banks all over the world implement open source and zero knowledge proof. Now let's quickly compare the market share, 24-hour trading volume and dominance of Bitcoin and Ethereum post the Ethereum merge. The Bitcoin market share is $377 billion. So at this point of time, it is definitely way above the 50% mark of the market share of Ethereum. Ethereum's market share is down to $168 billion. The 24-hour trading volume of Bitcoin is $27 billion, whereas Ethereum is $13 billion. And I'm really surprised to see that Bitcoin's dominance has actually gone up, and it is currently at 39.99%, whereas Ethereum's dominance has gone down to 17.80%. I was expecting that after the merge, the market share of Ethereum would go high and the dominance of Ethereum would definitely go high, but that's definitely not the case. Now let's look at the price of Bitcoin, the king of all kings. Bitcoin is currently at $19,725, and since the last 24 hours, it is marginally down by 1.74%, and since the last 7 days, it is down by 8.64%. Ethereum is down to $1,373, and since the last 24 hours, it is down to 6.13%. And since the last 7 days, Ethereum is down by 21.82%. And Binance Coin is staying steady at $271. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 2.83%. And since the last 7 days, it is down by 7.78%. So a lot of negative news, particularly so far as the price of cryptocurrency is concerned. And there are a lot of price predictions that were made about Ethereum. And as I always say, all the price predictions are 100% right 50% of the time. But this week is going to be extremely critical because on the 20th and 21st, there is an FOMC meeting by the Federal Reserve Board. And the Federal Reserve Board's meeting could determine the price of cryptocurrencies probably for the rest of this month. So the FOMC meeting takes place on the 20th and the 21st. Now guys, listen, follow me on LinkedIn and I've given the official link where the Federal Reserve Board will release the details. And most often what happens is Federal Chair Jerome Powell, he does tend to go live. What I'd really urge you guys to do is make sure you go to YouTube and watch the video by Jerome Powell live rather than listening to mainstream media. You'd be surprised that the information published by CNBC, Forbes, and quite a lot of mainstream media is completely different to what Jerome Powell is saying. The classic example I can think of when they asked him about recessions, he was asked over 7 times about recession, and he said that no, the US is not in recession. And surprisingly, all the mainstream media did actually put up article that the US is heading for recession. So make sure that you look at information directly from first source. So go to YouTube, select Federal Reserve Board, and Jerome Powell will be live. And most likely he's going to be announcing the next interest hike. So what do you guys think? The next interest hike, will it be 75 basis points? Or will it be 50 to 75 basis points? Now, CNBC's article states that the Fed meeting ahead will decide whether the stocks can stabilize or fall back to bear markets. And there's another publication from India called Financial Express. They said that the Fed will announce a 50 to 75 basis rate hike in September. One thing you need to remember is in November, as a matter of fact, on the 8th of November, is when the midterm election kicks in. Now, keeping that in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if the Fed decides to lower the interest rate, and the next interest rate announced on the 21st might be 50 basis points, but it's going to be a really important metric that we all need to pay attention to. And once again, guys, make sure you look at Jerome Powell's video when he's live on YouTube, and you'll be surprised the incorrect information that mainstream media will portray after the video is off. Now, this would definitely have a massive impact on the price of cryptocurrencies. What I tend to do is whenever Jerome Powell is live, I tend to take a screenshot of the price few hours before he goes live, while he is going live, and few hours after. Now, based on my experience, few hours before the price is relatively same, while the presentation is on, it is also same a few hours after, and I'm talking about 4 to 5 hours after the presentation is done. That's when we tend to see a price fluctuate. It tends to go high or it tends to go down, and the reason being mainstream media manipulates the news. They put across a completely different narrative. Now, let's talk about some news regarding Ethereum and Bitcoin. I'm going to be discussing some metrics. Some of them are positive and some of them not so much. Now, one metric which I'd like to talk about is Bitcoin's accumulation among Bitcoin whales and long-term holders. Now, Bitcoin whales and long-term holders now own 13.62 million Bitcoins. This is a lot of Bitcoin among selected individuals, and the data can be found via Glassnode. So the big question is, out of 21 million Bitcoin, 13.62 million Bitcoins have already been out. And like it or not, most of these Bitcoins are in the hand of early adopters, multi-billionaires and millionaires, financial institutions and celebrities. So is it a good idea for Bitcoin to be a world reserve? Now, I'm a massive fan of Bitcoin, but the fact that so many few people have so much of Bitcoin does not make it a good use case for it to be a world reserve. We talk about, how governments and politicians are against money, but Bitcoin being accumulated in very few hands is pretty much the same thing. So the question is, who do you trust when it comes to money? Do you trust the government? Do you trust the multi-billionaires or millionaires or celebrities? Or do you trust hashing algorithm, cryptography, and mathematics? But unfortunately, in case of Bitcoin, because of the human greed, because of the game theory, the accumulation of Bitcoin is among very few people. And just 2 months ago, the Pentagon did release a paper with its research arm called DARPA, where they talked about how centralization of all blockchain protocols, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, does exist. Now, you may agree or disagree, but if you look at the numbers that they mentioned, it's purely based on facts. So my big question is, if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, how many people from first world countries have been developed after Bitcoin has been created? And how many people from underdeveloped countries have been benefited from Bitcoin? If you look at the classic example of El Salvador did make Bitcoin a legal tender, but it turned out to be a complete disaster. And Seeking Alpha has just reported that El Salvador's debt rating is cut once again. So the rating is done by Fitch Ratings. If you read through the official report, El Salvador is definitely in some deep trouble. So the whole move of making it a Bitcoin legal tender definitely did not pay out. And unfortunately, this has to do with the price of Bitcoin. If the price of Bitcoin was well over $40,000 or $60,000, then the whole narrative of Bitcoin making a legal tender would be completely different. Now, at the same time, Goldman Sachs, they have also provided a prediction for Bitcoin, and they say that the price of Bitcoin will go down to $12,000. Now, look, guys, all the price predictions are 100% right 50% of the time, and the Economist team is led by Jan Hatzius. Now, they look into macro outlook for Bitcoin, and they're making this prediction based on the Federal Reserve Board's rate hike, which is going to happen on the 21st. Once again, guys, if you look at one of the financial giants is making predictions even before the numbers are out. Now, they have noted that the US Central Bank would increase the interest rate by 0.75% in September and maybe 0.5% in November, up from the previous forecast of 0.5% and 25% respectively. So the news on the 21st will have a massive impact on the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and also the stock market as well. Now, we once again feel that as the midterm election kicks in, it's going to have a massive impact on the price of cryptocurrencies and stock market. But I do feel that that would be a positive news. Now, a few weeks ago, Glassnode did provide an article that talks about the non-zero Ethereum addresses, and that reached a new all-time high of 85,367,215. So a lot of people do actually own Ethereum, and they have more than one Ethereum in the address. So definitely brilliant news. And another interesting news about Ethereum that is circulating since the last 24 hours is an Ethereum whale who has transferred 109,515 Ethereum from an unknown wallet. Now this is, guys, the power of open blockchain. All of the transactions are completely open source. Now if you do want to find out the movements of a lot of volumes for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, go to whalealert.io, and they have a Twitter which I believe works on a bot where they constantly keep providing information for massive transaction volumes. So the overall value transfer did stand at around $150 million when the transaction took place, and the price of Ethereum has significantly dropped by then. So most likely the amount would be roughly around $120 to $130 million. Now guys, let's talk about two news regarding UAE. Now guys, listen, before I start talking about two news regarding UAE, one thing which I noticed particularly last week is there is a lot of incorrect and misleading information, particularly to do with Dubai so far as Metaverse is concerned. I won't try to give out names of the company, but a couple of companies, what they're putting out articles is that they have partnered with another company, whereas in reality that is not the case. One example which I'd like to share is, without giving the names of the company, one massive company in Dubai did have an accelerator program, and they requested applicants from all around the world to apply for the accelerator program. What some companies are doing is that they're applying for the accelerator program, but they're publicizing it as though they have partnered with the company. Now this is 100% incorrect. Apart from that, there are a couple of other news that they say that Dubai is going to be the world's first into the metaverse. Absolutely not true. And a lot of information does say that in the website you will find out more information, but if you go to the website, it does not even provide any information about that news. More importantly, I actually struggled to even find out the website of the company. So my request to you guys is, whenever you're looking at any information, especially from mainstream media, try to dig the details further, and you will be surprised. A lot of the information is incorrect and misleading. Now since that is taken out of the way, let's talk about two news, and the first news is about Dubaiverse. An Amnico brand, which is a massive giant in the metaverse, they plan to launch metaverse in Dubai and other global cities. Now let me give you a brief overview of what Amnico brand is. If you are in the cryptocurrency space, you would have definitely heard of Amnico brand. They are an absolute giant. The website is amnicobrands.com, and they are driving digital property rights via NFTs and gaming to build the open metaverse. Now Amnico Brands is a Hong Kong-based software company and venture capital company founded in 2014 by Yat Situ. It was listed on the Australian Securities Exchange from 23rd of Jan 2015 to 9th of March 2022. Amnico brand is a massive giant. They are the company that own companies like the Sandbox, Power Rangers, Projection First Light, and if you go to Wikipedia, some of the companies that they own, that is absolutely massive. So they moving into metaverse in Dubai is a massive deal. Now the news for this is via forecast.news. Now forecast is spelled as F for Frank, O for Orange, R for Roger, K for Kite, E for Alpha, S for Sugar, T for Tango.news. So the news is that Amnico Brands Sandbox to launch metaverse in Dubai and other global cities. So Amnico Brands will be taking its Hong Kong metaverse strategy to a new market in Dubai, launching Dubaiverse. This news was said at the 62nd edition of the True Global Ventures Conference last Tuesday. The Dubai team Metaverse will follow the blueprint of its subsidiary Sandbox Hong Kong Mega City. Now, if you're in Hong Kong, I'd really like to know if you have had a look at the Mega City in the Metaverse. It is essentially a gaming metaverse and virtual cultural hub based on the Asian financial hub of Hong Kong. Brilliant news. Now, the Dubai news will also have a local news partner, that is Khaleej Times, following a similar partnership between Hong Kong Sandbox and local newspaper, the South China's Morning Post. So absolutely giant. And later on, I'll also be talking about Vara, that is making some plans and arrangements with Dubai Wars. But before that, the Dubai Wars will be built through local partnership, a similar strategy that was adopted in Hong Kong. Now listen guys, if you are a startup in Dubai, you definitely need to merge with them. This is a brilliant opportunity, and the Hong Kong-based blockchain game specialist will partner with firms in the film, music, entertainment, acting, finance, real estate, and gaming industries. Other planned location-based metaverse are in the works for Singapore, Korea, and Turkey, said Sebastian Borget, who is a co-founder and chief operating officer of Sandbox Paris. And the big news is VARA, that is Dubai's crypto regulator, Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, was the first purchaser of a piece of real estate on the Dubai Wars virtual map. Amnico Brand said, "It has been a key moment, and from there, we've been able to attract other major local partners and brands." So Vara getting into Amnico Brands is an absolutely massive news. So it's news such as this that does make Dubai a world leader in Web3 and most likely the top 10 city in the world so far as metaverse is concerned. So brilliant news. Now guys, let's talk about the next news from Dubai, that is Nostraverse, and they plan to launch a UAE subsidiary, and as part of the plan they want to hire over 100 employees for its ambitious metaverse projects. So let me try to break down what Nostraverse is. Now this is a company which was formed in 2021 and the website is nostraverse.com. So Nostraverse PLC was founded in 2021 for a purpose to harness the upcoming opportunities of virtual reality and changing the world for the better place. The goal is to exploit the resources, embrace the opportunities, and transform people around the world through the power of virtual reality. And Nostraverse PLC has developed a unique VR platform called NHub. It provides systems designed solely for the metaverse to help maintain and manage users' avatars, places, and assets in virtual place. So NHub looks like a very promising aspect. And Nostraverse is a business built on virtual reality to connect people with endless future opportunities, and the goal of Nostraverse is to fuel your passion to the virtual environment, prepare your business for metaverse, and position you and your business for the coming changes. And what I'd really like to do is I'd definitely like to speak to the team, get them on the podcast, and get more information regarding Nostraverse. And Nostraverse wants to launch a UAE subsidiary, and they plan to hire 100 employees for its ambitious metaverse project. The Dubai subsidiary will open in October, that is a month from now, to start providing professional solutions, and they've already released an app in the Oculus Store earlier this year and is set to imminently open a subsidiary in UAE as blockchain and crypto projects continue to flock to the United Arab Emirates. And the leading B2B2G, that is business to government, metaverse gateway and transformation partner, emphasized that it'll be opening its Dubai subsidiary in October to start providing professional solutions ranging from onboarding to team building to training and recruitment to government and multinational corporations alike. So definitely a brilliant news. And if you're a startup, merging with Nostraverse at this stage will be a good thing. And Nostraverse founder and CEO Sam Clever has said the industry totally underestimates the massive disruptive impact on the metaverse. Now I do have to agree with him, because when I looked at the news for today, there were so many news regarding metaverse as opposed to cryptocurrencies, and he also decided to open a hub in the Emirates following Dubai ruler Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum unveiling the Dubai Metaverse strategy in May. I do have an episode called as Dubai Metaverse Strategy where I talk absolutely everything about the Dubai Metaverse strategy. I talk about the inception, I talk about its current plan, I talk about Dubai Metaverse Assembly, I also talk about what role Vara from World Trade Center does actually play. And most likely, I wouldn't be surprised if Binance and Museum of the Future release the NFT on the 28th and 29th of September, where there's a massive event taking place in reference to Dubai Metaverse strategy. And going back to the news, Sam Clever also added that they plan to hire 100 employees in Dubai in the next 12 months. And in the article, he's also looking at a connection between the evolution of metaverse to that of the internet revolution. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee Update from Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com. And guys, also check out my website, that is area2071.com, that talks everything about metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And remember, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. This is followed by two news and information related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. I have a first question by Russell, who asks, what are your thoughts on the Cardano hard fork, and why did you not mention it in the episode? Now, you're absolutely right, Russell. As a matter of fact, Cardano hard fork will be a massive event which is going to take place later in this week. I believe it's going to take place on 22nd of September. Now, this is an excellent question. In fact, I've already done my prep work for it, and in tomorrow's episode, that is on the 20th of September, I do plan to mention everything at a very basic level on the Cardano's hard fork. So thank you so much for reminding that. And I've already prepared notes for that, so it is definitely something which I'll be mentioning about tomorrow's episode. But I'm going to be talking about the hard fork at a very brief and overview level. Now, the hard fork that Russell is talking about is called as the Vassal upgrade, and we'll very briefly be looking at what the update is all about. And the hard fork is confirmed for the 22nd, which is just one day after when Jerome Powell goes live. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the price reacts, particularly for cryptocurrencies as well. Now, usually what happens is, as and when the hard fork date kicks in, and this is not just for Cardano, but for overall projects as well, the price tends to bump up. But a day before that is when the price usually tends to drop. And Jerome Powell most likely will go live on the 21st, and the hard fork is confirmed on the 22nd. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the price of ADA or Cardano reacts. Now, Charles Hoskinson, he did put up a video via Twitter and called as Vassal is in the air. And IOHK had also tweeted that this upgrade is probably the most ambitious upgrade program for Cardano till date. With such a complex upgrade with multiple stakeholders, they really need to be confident that the ecosystem is ready and prepared before any hard fork is triggered. So what I'm going to be doing, Russell, in tomorrow's episode, I 100% will be talking about Cardano's hard fork. And look, I've been a massive fan of Charles Hoskinson and Cardano, but ever since the protocol got launched, I must say I've been extremely disappointed with Cardano. Charles Hoskinson does go live on YouTube. He constantly provides update on what is going on. But that being said, Russell, unfortunately, Cardano and ADA is all talks and less action. Now, mind you, Russell, I do like the project. I think, the white paper is really well written. It has got a much more scientific-based approach. But the big question is, the best project need not necessarily win. Now, if you were to ask me, is it the best project? I would have to say yes, but is that going to dominate, and will that ever flip Ethereum? I don't think so. I've been extremely disappointed with the way how Cardano works. Huge fan of Charles Hoskinson, but it's all talks and less action. But in tomorrow's episode, I'm definitely going to give out more information. And if you do have any questions in the meantime, you're more than welcome to drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. So that's all for today, guys, from the Asking Me Anything series from Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com, and check out my other website, that is area2071.com. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And of the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East from the cryptocurrency world. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.